Okay, and welcome back, everyone, to Strange Planet Podcast. And I will say, it's been a very interesting couple of weeks, but I will say there has been some relief at the end of the tunnel. Now, don't get me wrong, there's plenty more work to be done, but it seems this past Tuesday, which I'm sure you are all well aware of, we had the New York mayoral race in which Mandani won. And I find that one particularly interesting because not only was I hoping he was going to win, but the billionaires and the millionaires tried everything they could to try to get him not to win, and he prevailed. So I felt like that's a big accomplishment because it lets you know that as much, these billionaires and millionaires that can just throw money and think they can buy elections, it lets you see that they can't in the long run, as long as we all come out collectively together to vote. So I feel like that was a little shine of good light there that, normally we don't see, unfortunately. And then on another note, we also had the Virginia, and I believe it was New Jersey, who also had governor races, if I'm not mistaken, in which Democrats had won both, and Prop 50 in California. So, I would say we had an early blue wave here. And, like I said before, there's still some work to be done, but I feel like this is the step in the right direction. How do you guys take this past week and what's happened here?
Well, I have to say that I like the direction that the people who voted and represent this country are leaning towards. I mean, you'll hear a lot of things like the woke liberals, left, and stuff like that. Like, we're not really like that. There's a lot of in between, shades of gray, if you will.
Mm,
But I'd have to say that as long as Trump continues to be a blithering idiot, doing the stupid stuff that he does, and Mike Johnson just sits there and says, "No, we won't open our government again. It's just it's fine this way."
yeah,
I
right.
think we'll keep this momentum, but I don't know. I don't know how long. 3 years is a long time to wait.
But
Re-vote for a new person.
that's
But I
true.
mean, midterm elections are coming up,
That's what I was just going to say. The momentum
and
needs to go into that.
if we can get a nice big huge blue wave there, then we can start talking about some other career-ending devices we have in the sleeves of the U.S. government.
you know?
But I mean, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, because given the situation, Trump is poised to be in a position to basically take over this country as if he was king. I mean, that was the whole point of No King's Day,
Right?
not Anti-America Day, or whatever the fuck they wanted to
Yeah,
label it.
whatever they wanted to label it on Fox
So,
News, right? It's
I
unbelievable.
mean, I'll say this: some of the propaganda shit they have on Mandami is pretty fucking like scary. Makes
They
you think that
tried.
Muslims are going to come in and take over New York and
Yeah, right.
turn it into an Islamic state, and people are getting crazy with this kind of shit. But the fear really gets you to think, like, "Ooh, is this something that's going to happen?" But I don't believe that's going to be the truth. It's just them, propaganding and making crazy assumptions and making everybody fearful of each other. We all
Right?
need to come together as a collective group, that these people who run the government are supposed to serve us and not serve themselves in their special interest, because it's
Right, right.
public service. That's the job.
It's kind of the whole purpose, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
While we can't just turn around and hand them a pink slip, be like, "You fuckers are fired because you're not doing your job properly," voting is the best way we can get these people out. And so, good
Exactly.
start.
So
Good start.
right, I feel like we're on the right track here, and hopefully, we keep gaining the momentum going into the midterms, which will be coming up too. But one thing I wanted to point out, which I thought was really cool and also pretty wholesome in the long run, was the reaction LA got when Mandami won. They were so happy, and I was glad to see that. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it seemed very unifying in a sense because like
Yeah.
that doesn't affect them in the slightest. You know what I mean? But when he won, I saw videos of different bars, different clubs, different areas in LA. They were freaking thrilled. And I thank you all for that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it would be the same way with us towards them when they have their
Yeah.
mayoral
It's like watching your
races or
cousin,
governor races.
your cousin battling with like depression or cancer or something. And you just hope he comes out in the end and, like, "Yes, you did it. You're clear. You're free."
Right, right. And on top of that, too, like I feel like we're starting to see more fire fighting on fire here because
Mm.
Trump likes to put all this AI bullshit out on his Truth Social bull crap. But now I'm noticing that Gavin Newsom's doing a lot of it too, regularly, rightfully
Hey,
so too. Now some people could say, "Oh, well, you shouldn't snoop down to his level." I hate to say it, but with a guy as dumb as Trump, you really don't have a choice sometimes. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
you
yeah,
can't try to be highbrow to someone who doesn't understand the words coming out of your mouth. You kind of,
yeah. So I say fair game if that's the way it's going to be played. You know what I mean? Because if one side's going to do it, the other side you have to. You know what I mean? Like otherwise, it just looks stupid. You know what I mean? I mean, Brooke, what do you think about the whole uh, blue wave that was pretty much imminent this week? That pretty much swept everybody's minds for the most part.
Well, I'm definitely happy with the results. I think that um, after last year's election that saw Trump and the Republicans take over everything, it was good to see that, there still is life in this democracy and
Right.
that people came out and participated in the vote and, got some positive results. Um, I think that, they are, for state and local governments that are affected, it's great. However, we have a lot of work to do between now and next November
Mm,
when, the national elections are back and we're gonna have to, turn the tide of this country. Um, I think that um, at least in New York, which is pretty much the financial capital of the world, having a Democratic socialist as mayor is going to be interesting.
mm,
There's a lot of banks and uh, finance in New York, and it's going to be interesting to see the juxtaposition of that with social programs and social uh, redistribution of wealth. Now, people kind of get, or people on the right kind of conflate whether, a lot of them don't know, the difference between socialism and communism
including
and,
the president.
and democratic socialism. There are three different things. And I think people often conflate them and, on the right, some people do purposely, but most of them have no idea of the difference. And so, when I hear people saying, "Oh, it's communism," it's
Right?
like, no,
That's
that's
not the
not what
same thing.
democratic socialism is.
No.
Um, there are democratic socialist countries in Europe that do very well. It can coexist with capitalism. It's not,
Right. Exactly.
this communist government. It's more about reducing inequality and having social programs where it makes sense and implementing socialism, which is like, collective ownership of things where it makes sense. And we already do this here in the United States to
yeah,
some extent.
Yeah, we're not uncommon
Um,
to it. That's a good
yeah.
point.
How do
The
you
rich
pave the
do it all the
roads?
time.
How do you fund the schools? It's all comes from taxpayers'
Right.
money, which is
Fire department, like
right. And we have social programs like Medicare and Medicaid,
which they cut, but
SNAP,
yeah.
the food stamps. Like these are
They cut also.
things, right? These are things that um, you know, came from socialism. And, it gets such a bad, rep in this country because of
Outliers.
communism and people's confusion with communism. Communism is more
You keep
it
property.
requires that there's no private property at all. And,
all belongs
you
to the
know,
government.
well,
No,
it all belongs to the government per se. It's
the
it's it's
people.
it's community owned or whatever. But eventually, the goal of communism is to achieve a stateless society so that there's no government at all. It's just,
Period. Yeah.
the people and the workers running things now, that, you know, in practice, what it's really been is authoritarianism.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yep.
authoritarianism is just where, someone or a party or group of people, controls and, without any pushback, any way to affect change or, without hearing democratic voices, people, you know, being able to have an effect on their government because it's all controlled from the top down. And, you can have right wing authoritarianism, which is we saw with fascism and Nazis.
Hmm.
And you can have left wing authoritarianism, which was the Soviet Union and China. And so, but now it's funny because Russia is more of a right wing authoritarian
Than
state
anything.
now,
Mm.
Yeah.
and an oligarchy. But it's going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of pressure on Mandani to succeed because it's sort of going to be a laboratory for these ideas,
Yeah.
and it's going to be difficult because New York already has a significant budget shortfall. And there's limited things that a mayor of a city can do, especially in the face of Trump's already announced that he's going to slash federal funding to New York, which I don't think is really fair because New York contributes a lot of money to the federal government.
Right.
How about we
Um,
stop paying it?
and so, there's definitely going to be some headwinds now within a year's time. I don't think you're going to damn. Within a year's time, I don't think you're going to see enough of a result for, um, things to say, oh, this worked or it didn't work. Of course,
Right.
that won't
Right.
stop Republicans from being like, oh, look, New York is going to hell.
Yep.
Um, it's really not going to be enough time between now and the next election to see any results to get enough done and to
Right. Right.
actually measure the results. So everyone needs to take a breath and be careful and pay attention to you know hyperbole coming from the right.
Of course.
um what we will probably see are things like how's crime doing, because every election year Republicans like to hype up the crime. And I just ignore them because number one, crime rates are going down over time. They like to sensationalize different stories, but that's just the facts. But also there are, you know, they have no leg to stand on when it comes to crime. You have a president who is
Hmm.
convicted of 34 felonies, indicted.
Two
You
impeachments.
know,
Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Possible pedo.
and he also pardoned the January 6th criminals
Yep.
who fomented it, who actually carried out an insurrection in this country and trashed our Capitol building, our
And
seat of
some of them are
government.
already back in jail too. Isn't that insane?
Right, right. One of them threatened to kill House Minority Leader Jeffries.
Yeah.
And so, he also pardoned the co-founder, I guess, of Binance, which is a cryptocurrency exchange. He was convicted for basically helping launder terrorist money.
Wow.
So,
Imagine that.
and Trump pardoned him. And when asked about it, Trump was like, "Oh, I don't know him. I don't know, I don't know who he is."
Then
Well,
why did you
you
pardon
What?
him,
you
man?
signed
Pardon?
his
Dumb
pardon,
fuck.
Yeah,
like
right. He lies
how,
his ass
yeah,
off.
like how the fuck do you not know who he is?
And then he also took a
And
sex
they,
trafficker and took her out of a max security prison and put her in a minimum one. I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
that
like,
too.
Yeah,
Oh,
and the list goes on.
So yeah, I don't want to hear Republicans talk about crime.
Yeah, right. It's
That's
such
all I'm gonna respond. And when they bring up crime, I'm gonna respond with that. Like, you have no
yeah,
leg to stand on. Like,
such
you
hypocrisy.
support criminals, so
yep,
shut the fuck
yep.
up.
And when they say that
Yeah,
they care about the people, just want you all to remember when EBT benefits were done and they were taken away from people, Trump had a nice, great Gatsby party, and
yeah. That's another thing. Imagine that. It was around
fucking
Halloween.
yeah,
Yeah,
lavish party, strippers, champagne. They lived like there was no tomorrow while all
right.
you guys are fucking suffering. Now,
Meanwhile, yeah,
don't
a
get me
bunch of
wrong.
Millions of Americans are going hungry. You know.
With any program that you give to the public, there are going to be those who abuse it, but not everybody is abusing it. Most
Right.
people need it to
Right.
survive. But
Exactly. And as we all know, sometimes those numbers that they get when the end of the month kind of hits, it doesn't last the whole month. So those last, 10 days or so, they're hurting a little bit and they can't wait for the next month. So
yeah,
it's like you cut that off, they're already in pain. And now, the next month's coming and that's it. They're not getting
Yeah,
anymore.
I forget what Republican either member of Congress or senator said, but he was like, "Oh my God, they have $4,000 a year for groceries. Oh, they better have a month stocked of groceries." And it's like,
four
What?
thousand
do you
dollars a
actually
year.
yeah, a year. And
That's-
do you actually buy groceries?
Right?
Like,
Especially
they're expensive
now.
as fuck. That's not gonna last,
Yeah,
especially with a
hell no.
family.
Yeah, if you got a family of 4 or 5, forget about it. That ain't gonna can't even
Like,
put a dent in that.
they are so out of touch.
I am a.
Yeah,
We are a family of three, and fucking $200-300 a week sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And
Oh yeah, I
that's
believe you.
essentials, planning for meals, food for the kid for school, and maybe some little extras to make us happy. But that's fucking
Right. And
insane.
the nerve of this, Congress member or senator to be like, "Oh, you should have a month stocked of groceries, to withstand this
Yeah, sure.
shutdown." It's like,
Unreal.
are you out of your mind?
Yeah, right?
Like,
What's the smallest amount of food you can buy? Probably a
Right?
ramen cup, sir. It's about $2.50. Look at that. You could have months of supply of ramen in your house.
The only thing I will say that I think did come out of this is there is a decent amount of people that I think voted for him that are on that. So now that it was cut, I think it woke those people up. Maybe not all of them, because this is a very special
no, I
country.
mean, it's the
But
Democratic shutdown, remember?
yeah, that's what I wanted to clear up because they like to pin it on the Democrats. But if you pay attention and have been even listening to our podcast over the past couple of months, let alone any normal headed person, yeah, you'll find out that the whole reason why the Democrats are not on board with this is because of the whole Medicare and Medicaid situation with your premiums. So, like, you know what I mean? So, I guess, sure, they could Democrats, if they wanted to, they could have just wrote it off, and then you're going to end up paying double, maybe even triple, or even quadruple whatever your premium is. And then the government would have stayed open, and then you would have suffered. But instead, they were like, no, we're not going to allow this because of this. You know what I mean? So, like, people,
Yeah.
that's the fine line you won't
Right.
hear
And
from
the
Trump.
Republican
You won't
budget
hear Fox News.
already cut food stamps.
Right.
Food stamps, cut
And
fucking Medicaid to the tune of $3 trillion, some shit like that.
right,
And didn't a
right.
judge have to force them to like use the federal funding to give those people?
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Yeah, so federal courts have said to Trump, you got to use the emergency food stamp funds. And
Oh,
he's like, "No, I'm not going to do it." It's like, "Okay, but it's a court order."
You don't have a choice.
So,
you have to follow court
Yeah.
orders. Are you kidding me?
yeah, you kind of have to comply with that.
No, they
Right.
don't.
We know you're not
If we're
used
a
to
nation
doing
of
that.
laws,
Jim Jordan is still waiting to go into a fucking disposition from like 6 years ago. So apparently, you could just ignore court orders. Apparently,
Well, if you're him, apparently. I mean, if it was any
if
one
you're
of us,
anybody
or,
in the government, you can just ignore it.
yeah, I mean, that's the way it so
Whatever.
seems.
yeah, I mean, look at Trump's last term. There were congressional subpoenas, and different Republican officials from the Trump administration just didn't show up. They just said, "Nope, we're
Yeah.
not going to show up. We're not going to comply with the subpoena."
Imagine that.
Like,
Yeah.
What happened to them?
Yeah, and it's funny because
Nothing.
if any one of us or any of our viewers, anybody at all, was ever in a situation where you got subpoenaed and you ignored it or didn't go, yeah, watch what happens to you if you do that. You know what I mean? It's like it's just
Sorry,
such
sir,
a
I didn't mean it.
yeah, it's such hypocrisy. You'll be arrested in no time. You know what I mean? But not him. You know what I mean? 'Cause go figure. Yeah, he likes to think he's above the law, which he's not. And another thing, going back to the
Yeah, no, I think Steve Bannon went to jail for a little bit,
yeah,
but
he
then
did
he got
too.
pardoned.
But
So
hey, who knew, right? Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up with the Mandami thing, I forget if it was CBS, I don't remember what the fuck network it was, but somebody was interviewing Trump recently about Mandami's his name came up, and the correspondent or whatever, she's like, oh yeah, the Democratic Socialist Mandami. He's like, no, stop. He's like, you mean communist? She's like, no, he's a Democratic Socialist. And he's like, no, you mean communist? He's a communist. It's like you can't just blatantly lie like that about people. You know what I mean?
in all fairness to Trump, he probably doesn't know the difference.
That's true.
I honestly
But
That's
think we don't give
probably
him enough
true.
credit.
the
I,
interviewer should have asked him if
he,
he knows what the difference
I
is.
really think they should do that more often.
nah,
Yeah.
Oh no, they won't.
I believe he's the king of misinformation, to where he's forcing the term communist onto it. He's like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah,
what we're
because it
calling it.
sounds
We're
worse.
calling
Yeah.
it
The
communist.
fear, Fox News and
Exactly.
Trump.
It's to
It's
put
the
the idea
fear.
behind it.
Yep.
Because
That's
Oh
like
no, a
Democratic
Muslim.
Socialists
Oh
that's
don't
my
like
like
his
God.
like
don't even
MO
like
since the
communism.
first election. He likes to put different words in your head than what's
Yeah.
really there.
To scare
Oh,
you though. That's what
these
Fox News
leftists,
does
these
too.
extreme leftists. I don't think leftists are extreme. I mean,
No,
Like
not at
con
all.
yeah, yeah, radical left and
Yeah, and then that came up too
like
in the same interview too. And
yeah.
it's like
So
there's nothing you
any anything he dislikes, he puts a negative label on.
yeah, and then
Radical
some,
left.
gullible people will believe
oh
it
well
though.
like communism was derived from socialism, but socialism, is a much broader
Yeah, yeah.
philosophy.
Right, right.
And oh, another ignorant thing that Trump said was that um, something about like, you know, I think like communism like existed for thousands of years, and it's like,
Just a lot of stuff. He said
Thousands of
said
years.
no.
him and RFK were studying diseases for decades. Yeah,
That's
I
a
could really
good
smuggle
Like,
Donald Trump in there with a microscope. Yeah, that looks like coffee.
no, it's like, Karl Marx was, in the 1800s, right? That's not
one.
thousands of years.
Thousands. Woo.
Thousands of years, right? I tell you,
If
he
it
talks
wasn't for
out of
the
his ass
communists,
about everything.
Jesus wouldn't have died.
Like Marx and Engels invented, socialism. So how does it exist for thousands of years? Even capitalism is actually a more recent invention.
Hmm.
That's
You
yeah,
know,
that's
it's
true too.
it's probably the 1700s,
I mean,
1700s. Capitalism hasn't always existed for thousands of years even.
No, right. Even that is not,
Um,
like
we ha
that old.
I
But
mean, if you really think about it, though, communism in a perfect world sounds almost like the ultimate kind of government. But there's too many people in this world who don't
and
abide by
greed.
the rules and can easily turn that into like an oligarchy or an
Yeah,
authoritarian
see, that's the
government of
danger
some
with it.
kind. Yeah,
That's the yeah.
it's too open for someone to step in and take control
Yeah, that's why
because
like if
it's
socialism
right.
is like
No, well,
controlled, it'll work
socialism
fine.
socialism is supposed to be like a transitional period to communism. Like that's what communists believe.
well,
Like
But
we're
not
going to have
necessarily though.
socialism to transition to communism, where we're going to eliminate the state completely. We're going to not have government.
I
Right,
mean,
right.
if you really think about what we've learned in the last what 6, almost 8 years, is that while democracy has been one of the best government inventions we've come up with in the last century or two, it also seems to have its flaws.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's almost like communism is checkers, or democracy is chess. As long as you get
Okay.
the right pieces in the right
Well,
place,
yeah, no, I mean those kind of things aren't even really like one to one. So like
no, of
you
course
can
not.
have like I said before, you can have socialism with democracy.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's
Basically,
basically what
you're
we're doing now.
electing leaders to implement socialism. You could have a monarchy that is democratic. You could have people vote for a king, and then the king just makes all the rules, and no one else can really do
Do
anything about
anything.
it.
Yeah.
Well, it
You
sounds
can
like a
have a constitutional monarchy where the king is bound by laws and can't violate them. You had that in the UK previously. Now the king has like no authority, but the uh the UK used to be, when the king did have authority, or queen, when the monarchy did have authority, they were actually bound by laws that they had to abide by. So they didn't have, total power. They had, it was limited. And so, these terms aren't, really, you can have, multiple forms of government. And that's what the United States is. It's, not a, completely, you know, democratic, quote unquote, country. Like, we go out and vote, and that's an important part of our society. But, there's also some parts that are undemocratic. We don't directly elect our Supreme Court by
Right.
design. Under the original Constitution, we didn't directly elect senators. United States senators were appointed by state legislatures.
Hmm.
And we had to have a constitutional amendment to change that. And so, democracy is great and wonderful, but it does have its issues. It's a lot harder to get things done in a democracy, whereas in a more autocratic government, someone just says, "This is what I want," and it
And then
happens.
done. Yeah.
And but the
That could
question
do
is,
damage.
what's the moral form of government that you know is good for most people,
You ain't getting no
we
morality
decided
now.
at the beginning of this country that that form of government is democracy. And you can't just vote and take people's rights away. It's also limited by a constitution that protects people and their rights. So you know even if you vote to say, you know you pass a law that says that, oh, this person or that person can't vote. Well, you can't do that, or at
Right.
least according to the Constitution, because the Constitution forbids that. And so, you know, that will actually protect people's rights against a democracy in which the majority of people say that someone else's rights should be, taken away.
Hmm.
And so, these are the conversations that, people don't have, because it's just, in the media, and really our education system has failed,
Oh yeah.
um, you know, especially newer generations, but in general, it's failed because people, don't really understand these nuances, and um,
They're
but they also
misinformed.
don't understand like the importance of our democratic institutions, and the purpose that they serve, and the moral um purpose that they serve, because otherwise we would have a government that's not decided by us, that is not, like, if there's something that we don't like about our government, we should be able to do something about
Right.
that peacefully. In the past, you'd have to violently overthrow your government or you know, have a military takeover or
V
something
for
like
Vendetta.
that. And, you know, that's not a great, you know, process. Okay.
Of
We
course
have
not.
a system in this country where we peacefully transfer power.
Yeah.
And, you
We're
know,
supposed
that,
to.
yeah, and that is, you know, what separated America when it was founded from every other country in history.
Hmm.
We had a peaceful transfer of power, and you know that, you know, for the first time on January 6th, 2021,
Yeah.
for the first time that was interrupted. It eventually happened, but it
Right.
wasn't completely peaceful because that peace was breached.
Right.
But you know, it's just like people need to understand the history of this country and also the institutions.
All right, everyone. And that's all we got for this week on Strange Planet Podcast. New episodes will be every Friday on YouTube. And we did get a little shred of some more morality and dignity back. So normally I'd say we'd have to wait till next week to see, but luckily this week we did. So hopefully it continues. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.